1 minute. As a reminder, please mute yourself. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board. Today is Thursday, January 21st, 2021. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted on the City of Boston's website. While today's hearing is open to the public, no additional public testimony is taken. Before we begin, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. Thanks for joining us today at our voting meeting. I wanted to take this opportunity to also thank my fellow commissioners for joining us and to take a minute to introduce them. I'm joined by Commissioner Darlene Lombos, Commissioner Alejandro St. Commissioner Lisa Holmes, and Commissioner John Smith.
Thank you. We'll begin with the first item on the agenda, Ember Gardens Boston LLC. The proposed license premise is 297 Newberry Street in the Back Bay. This is an application for a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license with hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is a certified equity applicant. The date of initial application was August 17th, 2020. The date of filing with Inspectional Services was August 20th, 2020. And the date of the community meeting was August 26th, 2020, and a subsequent meeting on October 13th, 2020. Chairwoman Joyce?
Okay, thanks, Leslie. I know I had raised some questions at the actual hearing about the management team, but putting those questions aside, I wanted to focus on the location. And I know Mr. Tracy had supplemented the presentation with some additional photographs and videos, which I appreciate. And taking those into consideration, it actually raised more questions for me about the location and the drop-off, and potentially using the front as a drop-off, and taking all that together with the some of the issues raised by the abutters. I am voting to defer deliberation on this application until next month so that I can have some more time to work with the applicant on the actual location.
So is that a motion for a deferral?
I make a motion for a deferral.
Is there a second?
I second.
Commissioner?
I'm sorry, can we comment before?
I'm sorry, sure.
Can we all just have an opportunity to chime in?
All right, well, I'm going in order of how people are appearing on my screen. We'll move to Commissioner Lombos.
Yeah, my comment is just that I agree with that. There was some information I would like to review. I'm sorry I hadn't had a chance to get through all of that. So I appreciate the deferral and want to make sure that we're making a good decision. So I support the deferral of the decision.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes?
Yeah, I agree with the deferral. There were some things still that I had a bit of trouble with, and I'd like to get a little bit more info on background. So I agree with the deferral.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you. Same thing. I agree with the deferral, because of the location issues.
And Commissioner St.
All right, thank you so much. First and foremost, I agree with the deferral. I did have a few comments though that I wanted to raise. I do think, there, and I fully appreciate the concerns of the abutters. I do want to say that, any reference to this similar to being Chinatown or the combat zone, I just found very unsubstantiated. And, as we think about locations, and this would be, a third location within a buffer zone. And that is something for the zoning board to figure out. But aside from, the spirit of this board to really advance equity, that includes where establishments are located. And so I do think it's important that we have equity applicants within the where there's more foot traffic, where there's definitely going to be much more of a financial benefit. And this is something that we brought up when we approved the downtown location, just them being very open to having an equity applicant within the buffer zone. I think this is something very similar to that. And I would just, the question of drop off is a difficult one, given that this location would lend itself it would be more convenient to have a regular drop off, but security purposes, obviously you can't do that. So, but I do, I found some of the comments a bit unsettling in the last session, and also one last one I think that was brought up by the counselor about this board using equity as a trump card. I invite the counselor to review all past sessions and see that we have in fact done due diligence on every single one of the applicants that come before us, and where we do have a explicit commitment to equity. That is not something that we take lightly, nor do we assume that every equity applicant before us is going to be given a license. So I have a question about the delivery. So I do appreciate the deferral. I do not have any issue with the location, however, or placing an establishment, a third establishment within that buffer zone, given its very commercial location and proximity to thousands and thousands of tourists that will be coming through there. So, so I just wanted to make those clear, but I 100% support the deferment.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we have a motion that has been seconded for a deferral. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? This will be deferred to the February hearing. We will keep the record open, and all the commissioners can, any questions you have regarding the materials or supplemental materials, I will work with the applicant to have those addressed.
Okay, and I think I sent you some this morning, Leslie. I just think we haven't had enough time to process it all.
Yeah, it was a lot of information, and I think the applicant was doing their due diligence to get it to the board, so we'll make sure that it's properly reviewed.
Okay, thank you.
Calling item 2, Union Twist Inc. The proposed license premise is 259 Cambridge Street in Alston. This is an application for a retail recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. This is a non-equity applicant. The date of the initial application was December 5th, 2018. The date of filing with the Inspectional Services Department was December 4th, 2018. The date of the community meeting was February 6th, 2019. Chairwoman Joyce?
So just so I'm clear, you want us to all comment first, Leslie?
Yes, if we could all comment first, and then I will return for a motion. Thank you.
There was a lot of supplemental materials that came in late last night that I think are really important to take into consideration of this application in light of the opposition we got. I still am not clear about the impacts that this is going to have on that neighborhood, especially Empire Street in that community. Other parts of the application I'm comfortable with, but I have not, we received that information late last night. So I'd like some more time to take a look at that.
Thank you. Commissioner Lombos?
Yep, I appreciate, I would appreciate more time to look at the information. I did have some concerns, just looking at all of the community concerns in particular. I was really wanted to go through all the supplemental information to see if anything could help me raise the score on the community support for that. So that was what I was particularly concerned about. And, if there's anything in there too about just the meetings in English and that kind of thing, I am concerned about language access as well for community input.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Holmes?
Yeah, I just began reviewing the new stuff, and the traffic study is a bit in depth and takes more than one reading over to actually understand it. So I don't know how that, and along with Chairwoman Joyce, I still couldn't figure out how that affected the pathway that the neighbors were complaining about not having access. So again, with everybody else, I just need a little bit more time to decipher and review and get a better understanding on. I will say I give them a little bit of credit for making their space smaller, but I don't quite understand how all that's going to affect the neighbors. So I do need to reread that. But they have made a significant cutback in the size of their organization, of their footprint from about 6,900 square feet down to 3,000. So now I just want to see how is that going to either make it better for the community, or is that going to exacerbate the same problem that the community wanted it, you know? So we need some more time.
Thank you. Commissioner,
Smith? Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you in the last word. Echoing all of the concerns and also thinking about the impact, you know, the young person who spoke, the impact of that community, and yeah, but very much echoing the commissioner's concerns that they have.
thank you. Commissioner St. Gian.
I agree, not much to add. I think everything was covered there in terms of just having more time. I do appreciate the supplemental material. It just will take a little bit of time to review it. And also questions on making sure that all of the neighbors, regardless of language, are able to fully participate in feedback about the location.
Thank you. Commissioner Joyce, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to defer the vote on this application until next month.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And none opposed. The motion carries. Again, this will be deferred and the record will be kept open. Moving to old and new business. The board had previously drafted and posted for public comment an amendment to section 2.0 of the board's rules and regulations, allowing for transferability. With a hearing and the approval of the board received no public comment during that period and did post that in the newspaper, online, and reached out to interested parties. So is there a motion to formally adopt the new transferability language?
I make a motion to adopt.
Is there a second? Commissioner Holmes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? And seeing none opposed, the motion carries. The CCC has recently approved two different types of delivery licenses. The first that is currently available is a courier model. Currently, there is no regulatory authority on the part of the city to review or approve a delivery courier model outside of the city, picking up from dispensaries in Boston and delivering within Boston. So this is a motion for me to draft for the board's review, a emergency regulation that would require, and again, this is just drafting for review, that would require dispensaries in Boston to obtain the board's approval before they partner with a delivery company.
I make a motion.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Those are all of the items before the board today. Thank you to the chairwoman and the commissioners and everyone in attendance.